Mm-hmm.
You probably should have.
Well, what are you going to do?
Adam, don't forget to hit the record button.
Good idea.
It is a good idea. Good evening.
Good evening. Well,
Good evening, YouTube.
Hello, YouTube. Hello, Facebook. Hello, YouTube and Facebook.
hello, everyone.
Hello,
Hello, everyone.
FaceTube. Hello, UBook. Did we cover everyone?
I think it was Google is going to buy YouTube and Twitter. Or no, they're going to buy Facebook and Twitter, and they're going to do one platform. They're going to call it UTwitface.
What a way to start.
I'm done.
Oh, that's great.
Well, so it's a little, I feel like it's a little different because people need to go over to Facebook and then click over here. So we need to like kill some time before people, as people join. And hello, everyone. As you're joining,
Did our viewership go down after that joke, or is it just kind of staying the same?
It's actually YouTube shut the whole stream down, so we're just talking to ourselves now. YouTube is like, I'm not going to let that joke live on my platform.
Great.
Oh my God, that's so funny. No, that was good though. I enjoyed it.
So, do we, for people watching and leaving comments, do we post the link in enough time for you to see it? I'm trying to post the link about a half an hour before we go live, and that link is the actual link that we're going live.
YouTube just sent me a message saying watch live now in the box.
There you go.
All right.
We
Well, I guess I'll go over there and watch it.
But
can't watch it when you're on it.
yeah.
Well, technically I could. I mean, I could make this into a hotspot, go into my living room and watch it.
There you go.
But I won't.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
So we wanted to do a quick show this week before the games this weekend, because there are games this weekend, and it's the start of the 2020/21 season or -21 season. Whatever.
I mean, theoretically, couldn't we just call it a 21 season?
20, but what if 2020? Why are you raising your hand?
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
That's what you normally do, right?
No, we don't. We just talk.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. So how do I watch these games on this weekend?
Wait, don't start yet. Don't start with that yet. Wait.
Why?
I think we should kick that. I think we should kick off with that.
Oh,
so
man.
it's Monday night. It's 8:30 p.m. If you look at the schedule or the calendar for the week, let's assume we're counting New Year's Eve as a holiday, because I think enough people take that day off or get it off. I know you don't. I wasn't going to. I usually take it off as PTO because the Wave usually has a game. Of course, we know what happened to that. But let's say, for argument's sake, let's just call it a holiday. So Thursday and Friday are holidays. Games start Saturday. That means there's 2 business days before the start of the season. And there's no information about live stream. We assume it's Facebook, because that's what Central Cup was, and that's the whole point of doing the All-Star game and Central Cup was to figure out the season. We don't know. Ian brought up some really good points last week that I didn't even think about really until last week, or last week being 2 days ago on Saturday. There's no playoff format. There's no season format.
Mm-hmm.
This whole, okay, we're going to run things month by month is great and all, but what is everyone playing for? Like, the teams don't know right now. Do I need to run up the score on my opponents? If I'm playing Rochester a couple times more than I normally would have, if I played them 6 in a row, do I need to run up the score on them? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Nobody knows. There's no information out there. So it's concerning to me as a fan.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, from everything that we've heard over the years, this is pretty typical for this league, to just do things at the last minute.
So two comments. One, I hate that the league does that. I hate the last minute stuff. It drives me insane, drives me up a wall. And second, my guess / hopeful thinking is that it's going to be the Rom Newman Cup, because I mean, what else are they going to do? If they haven't said otherwise now, it's going to be the Ron Newman Cup. Let's just expect the worst because honestly, I mean, let's expect it.
Yeah.
And then it's a Ron Newman Cup. It's going to be winning percentages because that's what they said, and they're not going to change. I don't think they're going to change. I mean, unless they're like going through and they're like, oh, this is a terrible idea. We're just going to go off the standings. But like Ian said, they need to establish it early. As of now, we can go with winning percentages. But I think it's going to be a Ron Newman Cup. I'm just trying to give everyone that warning to prepare.
I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be either because they haven't said anything.
Exactly.
And it's if I kind of go by the adage of my life of if I don't hear anything differently, I'm assuming what it is, it's always been is what it is now.
But it's kind of unfair. I mean, this is a season that no one saw coming, and it's unprecedented. So
stop saying
I
that
really
word.
What?
Don't say that word. I'm sick of saying that word every day.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
But I think it's unfair for the teams that aren't a part of the league this season, just because they're not playing because of COVID. I mean, I get it. But like Milwaukee, for example, they have no way of defending their championship.
Yep.
So I really don't. To call it a Ron Newman Cup, I think if you were to do that, I think you should put some sort of like asterisk behind it because, like a big one, because I think the schedules should be somewhat fair. Like if a team plays, I don't know, Rochester 8 times.
Oh my God.
I really don't think it's fair for the teams that play, I don't know, Utica 6 times.
Especially when Rochester wins all 8 of those games.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's where you're going with that, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I just think it needs to, the schedule needs to be evened out. And this season, I don't think it's a possibility because, I mean, geez, West Coast can't play, East Coast for the most part can't play. So
what sucks about
it's a lot of road games, and I don't think it's fair.
Yeah, what sucks about it to me about the whole Wave not playing and games and everything, they announced the minimum 12, max 24 games, and some teams decided like Tacoma, we're not playing any road game. Reboot myself. We're not playing any home games. We're only playing 12 games. It's only going to be road away. And people, fans especially, and even some players that I've heard are saying, well, the Wave just screwed everybody because they're not doing it. Why didn't they do something like that? And I think it's not fair to say that in this weird COVID era, especially as Wisconsin is like one of the worst states in the country and has been since, August or whatever for COVID. It's hard to say, okay, Mike Zimmerman, business owner, responsible, successful business owner, let's take one of your business and just run it into the ground this year and you're going to expect to lose a ton of money. Or you could actually save money by not playing this year. Go choose. Well, the businessman guy is never going to play. He's not like an indoor soccer fan owner. There's some owners who, in fact, Lane even said when we were out in KC that he has his business side, and that's what's able to fund what essentially is his hobby, which is what he loves in indoor soccer. And I think that's great. I think that's great that he wants to do that and have both of his teams, Tacoma and the Comets. Fortunately, Comets can play at home. But I think for asking a typical business owner, hey, you can either run your business and lose money with everything you do, or you can take the season off and probably save money and be really no worse for wear, purely financial wise. Well, all the other issues are not a thing. I think that's kind of unfair to say of what some of these teams are going through, because it's not Tacoma's doing it. Why isn't the Wave doing it? Well, it's a completely different situation for everybody, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's thinking short term. I think Mike Zimmerman's thinking short term, saving a little bit of money now. But you've ticked off a lot of people, I think. I mean, from what I've been hearing, some of the players are really, really upset. And I would imagine some of the fan base is upset as well. So what is going to happen? I think the big question is next season, how will the fans of Milwaukee or the players that used to play in Milwaukee, will they come back? Will we see Ian Bennett back in Milwaukee?
I think
we probably won't see Max Ferdinand back in Milwaukee. So it's just kind of like, if you had played all of your road games, yes, you would have lost money, but I think you would have still had that 4,500 fan base that came to every one of your games last season, number one in attendance. What's going to happen next season? Is it going to be 3,500? Is it still going to be 4,500?
I mean, I think what Mike did is actually on the business side, it's a great idea that he took a break. The reason I say that is because Mike is, like you said, yeah, he's looking at the short term as far as his losses this year or his profits and losses this year. But next year, whatever he didn't spend, he can put in. So he has this year's budget and next year's budget to work with, as opposed to just going in this year, losing money, and then now it's like, oh, yeah, I know the fans are upset. I know players are upset. But you guys, I mean, we got to understand that, like, Mike is doing it, or what I think, or I believe, he's doing it in the best interest of the team. So if he's sitting it out, and it's not just Mike, it's Mesquite, it's Turlock. I was going to say San Diego. Turlock. I know they're going to play in the same arena, but
everyone say hi to Tara.
Hi, Tara.
Okay, go ahead.
So it's all those teams that are sitting out. They're looking at it. Hey, okay, this year this is not worth it. Let's take this time, and hopefully the teams do take the time, structure themselves properly, and come back next year on a completely different level. And that's what I hope. I guess me just being too positive, thinking this way. But
it's funny,
I would hope.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the short game, because according to Mike, he's the one playing the long game, and the owners who are playing the short game. So he looks at it completely differently, as this isn't, he thinks owners are jumping too far into saying we have to play no matter what the cost, no matter what what the thing is, we have to play, have to do it. And he's looking at it as a long-term, I don't want to use the term investment, but a long-term plan of, well, if we take the year off, we can come back,
right,
like you said, come back stronger next year. The problem is going to be the players who really want to play and go to another team this season and get really, really, really good experiences and really good chemistry, like we kind of heard on Saturday. Do they come back? Now, the players who have multi-year contracts, we've kind of gone over this a bunch of times. Players who are contracts are ending, who are either free agents now or will be free agents in 2021, Wave gets first chance at them, but they're a free agent. Players that are still signed into contracts will be coming back to the Wave because they're basically on loan.
I feel like would be great. I don't know how other teams will feel about this, but I feel like, okay, if we're going to go through with the Ron Newman Cup and obviously go through with the season without these teams that have been vital to the league, the best way to welcome them is probably allowing them to have first pick at the free agents. Because
that's interesting.
Because they have to rebuild their structure. They have to rebuild their team. And if all the teams are like, no, we don't want that, well, then, yeah, the competition's not going to be there, because these teams that have been good lost all these players this year and are going to come back and they're going to be trash. So then their fans are going to be even more upset. I think the right thing to do from a league's point of view, or even just the other owners, is to allow these teams to have the first pick of the free agents, allow them to rebuild the foundation.
Yeah,
that's what I would like.
That makes sense. So Jay, I'm assuming JK47 is Jay. He says he's only upset because I feel other options weren't really looked into. From what I heard, he actually did look pretty far into alternate venues. And this kind of goes into what I was going to say about Milwaukee as a whole. But the Wave isn't going to play it like an E-Line and these are rec center with basically indoor facility with 3 fields and concessions, and that's it. Wave isn't going to play it at something like that. But there is the Milwaukee Auditorium. There's the Wave. There's even the chance that the Wave could get into like Fiserv Forum and play there. Those are all owned by the same ownership group. And that same ownership group said none of our venues are having fans in them at all for 2021 until fall. So that's like the Bucks are playing at Fiserv Forum with no fans. Marquette and UW Milwaukee basketball are playing with no fans. So there's nothing there. I don't know. I even think there's going to be graduation ceremonies there because they do. Panther Arena used to do high school graduations and things like that. I don't think they're going to do any of those at all. But that's my point. That brings me to my point about Milwaukee. So, Matt, you were saying what happens with the fans. I think Milwaukee as a whole, and the whole southeastern part of the state, knows that we can't have fans at really anything. And I think they're going to see that as when soccer comes back, they're going to be like, oh, Waiver finally back. Let's all go. So I think assuming, and 26 Mustang just said, what are your thoughts about the chance that things are still at this time next year, assuming like COVID is still the same and everything. That's assuming COVID's gone and we're back open up. The experts have said they think like summertime will be a full open up, regular, back to normal, whatever normal is or was or what it will ever be. But I would think, oh, hey, Alec. It's Alec.
Oh, hey, Alec.
Hiding behind his Mustang. See what I did there? But yeah, I think Milwaukee specifically, because it's not like the Wave is the only thing that's not playing. It's the Wave, it's the Admirals, there's a roller derby that comes through here a couple times a year. There's all these theater things going on at the auditorium, which is like basically kind of connected right next door to the arena. There's all the basketball, all the big concerts and all that stuff. Nothing's happening. So I think if it were just the Wave not playing and everything else happening, we'd be worried about attendance. I'm optimistic in that people don't have really, really short-term memories, although they do, but I think they'll have oh my God, let's go out. And like, I fully expect restaurants to be completely insanely booked as soon as everything opens up to 100% capacity. Maybe not the first week, probably the first weekend, but then it'll probably taper out. But I think after like a month of that, everyone's like, oh, cool, let's go out to all these places we missed over the last 10 months or whatever it's been, or a year, based on the fact that we're looking at that.
I do believe there's going to be a spike in attendance once everything opens back up. But assuming that, the vaccine gets distributed, it works well, there's no blowbacks, everything is going well. Next year, I think we will be back to normal. It's just we have to, as fans, hold on tight this season. And when our teams come back, be fully on board, what decision they made, whether it's, hey, we're playing this season right now and it gets cut off, or they play their 12 games, whatever happens, like, let's just enjoy what we have and try to get by this season and the next season. I feel like if everything goes well with the vaccines and everything, we'll be back at it.
Yeah, but I think so.
It's just up to us as fans to like, hey, okay, it's a pandemic. We've never experienced this.
It's unprecedented.
It's like all the soccer leagues that were affected by any kind of, whether it was a war, whether it was a government collapse or whatever is the situation, they took that year off, and then the following year they were back and rolling. So it's just kind of the same thing. And
they had to postpone Everton and Manchester City today.
Exactly.
That's not a small name sport, right there.
Exactly.
And Everton, like the coach of St. Louis versus the entire Manchester City.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't really want to embarrass him. The Man City. I mean, they didn't want to embarrass Man City too much by getting blown out by Everton.
Right.
The coach by himself. So Brad said he's worried more about. He thinks Milwaukee will be fine. But he's worried about more like the Turlocks and Mesquites of the league that have trouble.
And it's kind of the only reason I worry about Milwaukee is because of the tradition behind the Wave.
Yeah.
Like it's been through a lot over the years, and it's been a staple in indoor soccer. And to see it just kind of like, oh, we're going to take the year off. It just kind of.
There's been.
I mean, it's tough.
Yeah,
I mean, the season
there was
goes
a Save the
on.
Wave.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Before I started going to games, there was a Save the Wave campaign. We had an owner take the winningest and longest tenured coach in indoor soccer history and fire him, and then left after making a complete mess of things. We've had I heard one of the owners, so restaurant I go to, the owner of that restaurant knows one of the like 3 or 4 owners ago, and he told me that when that person bought the team, there was no money exchange. It's just like, okay, now you assume all the debt, here's a team. But now it's finally a profitable, sustainable, stable business. And I think that's the one thing that Milwaukee fans have to know about and hang on to. I don't think many Milwaukee fans even realize that the streak of being the longest tenured professional soccer organization in the United States is over. I don't think many people even knew that was a thing, because you think about how long, like a Green Bay Packer fan, the Packers have been around since the 20s. I mean, it's just such a much longer tenured thing. You don't think about, 1984 was 40 years ago almost. Like, that's crazy. Math is hard. You know what I mean? Yeah. So anyway, we should probably.
30, you added another 10, so 30. We'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
Yeah, math is hard.
Yeah. So okay, so no idea where we're watching the games, but let's talk about them.
Yeah. No idea.
So
no idea
real quick, I want to go back to one comment that we got about why not call it a COVID Cup. The reason I want to address that is because if they're going to call it something else, I'm 100% on board with what Ian said, and they have to do it now. If they don't do it now, we're just going with the Ron Newman Cup.
I think they have to name, before the games on Saturday, the playoff, what determines getting into the playoffs, what the playoff format is, what the tiebreakers are. I loved Ian's idea of playing a season, and just everyone who plays the season gets into the playoffs, and then you seed things and you play it like that. Figure out your wild cards and your buys and stuff like that. With 11 teams, you'll have to. And then if somebody's in a position where they can't play at that point, they can bow out, no harm, no foul kind of thing. Good standing of the league, I think, is the term that they used for the teams not playing this year.
Right.
But I if they're going to go, all of a sudden it's, and we've heard rumors. I mean, I think you guys have both heard that your teams are going to start like mid-February. I heard a rumor last night that they won't start till March, but I mean, I think a 2-week window is, so February, March, they aren't going to start. If they wait till mid-March and go, okay, here's what we're going to do for the playoffs, the top 4 teams or whatever are going to go in, and there's already teams that are out of the running, it's like a slap in the face to all those teams that don't make it. And then what do? Do you do the top 8 and then still the bottom 3 don't make it?
No, I think everyone should be in the playoffs. I think it should be a seeding thing, because it is. You could play 12, you could play 24, you could play 13, you could play. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. So
is there strategy that comes in with friends? So completely hypothetical. I'm picking these teams just because I know the owners are friends, but it doesn't mean anything about either team. Say the Blast is right on the cusp of making whatever the cutoff playoffs is, and Rochester is completely out of it. Do Ed Hale and Soccer Sam get together and go, hey, we only have 12 games on the schedule. Let's set up like 6 games against you real quick, and we'll do them back to back just so we can have 6 more wins and get our win percentage up. The potential's there. I'm not saying anyone would do it.
It is, and that's why everyone should be in the playoffs.
Right. And I like the idea of doing when Nick Pereira said of doing a supporter shield, then a tournament win. So you have a trophy for the regular season, and you do that strictly based off win percentage. And then you take those and you seed them and you run the playoffs. You have a separate trophy for playoffs. I really like that idea.
Yeah, I agree. That idea is pretty cool. The MLS does it, so I like that the MLS does it. So I'm completely on board with that.
And I'm not a proponent of like participation trophies for everybody. but I do think a trophy for, or recognition for, division winner, conference winner, whatever they happen to be, even going forward, is definitely a good thing, because the more trophies that a team has, the more they can advertise that. And
Yep.
even
Yeah.
a team that doesn't win or doesn't, let's say they lose the first round of the playoffs, but they won their division, they can be like, we are division champs, and now our fans know that, and now we can go.
Sounds eerily familiar.
Purely hypothetical at that point.
Purely hypothetical. We're not talking about this team here. We're not talking about them. No,
Not at all. Not at all. Purely hypothetical.
not at all. There was actually last year. There was actually supposed to be a banner going up.
See?
That was 2019, 2020, or 2018, 2019 Eastern Division champions, but that never happened.
It was actually 2019, 2020.
Was
I
it?
feel like that
No, it was the year before. No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, yeah.
Florida annihilated everyone last year.
I think I would prefer seeing the conference champion, the Ron Newman Cup, and then like a league cup instead of Community Shield. But I like if they don't do the conference cup, the conference trophies, do the Community Shield. But I prefer seeing that.
So here's the thing. Matt had a very passionate rant the other day about we don't give a shit what happened in 1992. However, there are a lot of names that you could name a lot of trophies after. Ron Newman Cup. You could name all. Take players and maybe even have every year there's a different name for whatever the league trophy is, the regular season trophy, and take one of those and highlight the all-stars of the past by giving them a trophy that they can do. I know you don't like it, Matt, but I come up with ideas on the fly, and they're either bad or worse. So
no, I just think Ron Newman. Yeah, he was a great coach and changed the sport. But who would you put as, like? Would you have the Hector Marinero Award for the most goals or most best offensive player?
Lewis Meltzer Award.
I was going with Denny Kelly Eastern Conference trophy, but
No, I'm just like take a big name player and every year make the trophy named after them.
Right. No, yeah, I think it'd be a cool idea, but
the MASL in the box sportsmanship award.
Absolutely.
That's a participation trophy.
So
I want it to mean something.
Oh, it does.
Let's make it the MVP.
Oh, okay.
What?
So real quick, I like what Brad said. His point about the all 11 teams make the playoffs. The first seed gets a bye, and 2 through 11 play for rounds. I think that's
11 teams is tough. You would have to give.
You'd have to do 3 buys essentially.
3 buys, yeah.
Or a buy and a wild card or something weird, but there's time to figure it out.
Right.
Yeah,
but
absolutely. And I don't know if we have any owners watching. I don't know if Shelly made the jump to YouTube, but if maybe she has some sort of information to give us on
some insider trading.
Yeah, insider trading information on like what's going on, because as 3 passionate fans, we're really excited about watching on Saturday, and we need to figure out how to do it. Like we need to.
Let's get right into it. Actually, now that you brought it up, let's talk.
Okay.
So before we do that, I have an inside look.
Official timeout.
Yeah, I have an inside look at the MASL offices right now. Okay. So I'm gonna hang on.
Oh, so are we going live?
He closed the camera.
This is a look at what's going on in the MSL office right now.
I gotta be ready. Oh Jesus, here we go.
Oh my gosh. Oh man.
All right. So we tried to get an interview and no one answered, so we just left.
Yeah, we left. It was unfortunate.
Sorry.
You had a lot of you were quite fast. I was very, very happy.
I pulled a hammy though.
Oh, all right.
So anyway, let's talk about some games this weekend.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to talk about each team first, or just the games first, or how do we want to do this?
No, we'll talk about the games. Why not?
Yeah, let's get right into the games, and then we could talk about the teams a little bit.
All right, first game, 5:05 p.m. Eastern, 4:05 p.m. Central, and then early on the West Coast.
So it's 4:05 p.m.
4:05 p.m. is the only time you need to know.
Okay.
It is Florida hosting the St. Louis Ambush.
So,
Well,
so next
I will
game.
say this.
so next game.
It's gonna be. I know Ian looks out for his boy Max, and he said a lot of good things about them, which is true. They do have the advantage of seeing what they need to work on and getting some games under their belt. But from what I hear, there's a lot of work that needs to be done on and off the field. I'm just gonna put it that way.
Sure.
I'm not gonna put it any other way. Just they need to figure that out. If they can figure that out and they can put a performance on, I'm assuming this first game they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose just because they're gonna get shocked by how prepared Florida is. But if they could, since they're playing back to back, if they could take what happens this Saturday and bring it back to the next one, I think they could turn it around. But again, they just have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, so actually we'll talk about both. So it's Saturday, January 2nd, 5:05 Eastern, and then Sunday, January 3rd, 3:05 p.m. Eastern are both St. Louis at Florida Tropics. Might as well just talk about those games both. I think Florida wins both by easily. I would love.
So, okay. So before you even go into that, let's just say, and I'm going to throw a number out there. I'm not a Vegas bookie. I'm not anything like that. Do you think the margin of victory will be over or under 4.5?
For which game?
We'll go first one.
4.5 is a really good. 4.5 is a really good line. I think I would go over for both. I would go over for both. And I don't want to jump on the Florida looks really good. They're crazy. They signed even more people. They're going to dominate bandwagon. But kind of like we did with St. Louis. I don't know why I can't get St. Louis and San Diego out of my they're not even anywhere near close. Anyway. But I really think, we watched Florida last year and we watched what they did to teams, and they're keeping their entire core and basically replacing Gordy with Ian right now.
Yep.
Plus adding Chad Vandegrift, who's already played defense along on the same line with Drew Ruggles. So they already have that chemistry of multiple years there. And I can't see them not hitting the ground running and just taking off with it.
So I actually think the first game is going to be pretty bad. But I think the second game, I'm on the fence to saying that St. Louis puts up a good match or potentially wins by 1.
So how many players does St. Louis travel with? They play the same team both games? Because in the past, that's what they've done. They played the same team in both games on a back-to-back, and they've lost steam in the second half of the second game and gotten blown out.
That's true, too. I didn't think about that.
Florida's deeper than any team, and they're all local.
True too.
I will say this. I think the only advantage St. Louis has to Florida is depth at goalie. You've got Hugo Silva in Florida. Great. Who's his backup?
That's a good.
And I think Paulo and Brett Petrocek, good combo, good duo. So if you see, I'm going to say it depends on which goalkeeper plays which game, I think.
Yes. 100%.
I'm going to say
100%.
I'm going to say the first game, I think you're going to see Paulo in goal, and I'm going to go under 4.5. I think it's going to be like 9-5.
Actually, you know what? I'll give my games backwards because bringing up Paolo, you make a great point. I think the first game will be the tight one, and then the second game is going to be bad.
That's what I think. I think Florida's going to make adjustments. You'll probably see Petrocek in goal, and I'm going to say you're looking at like 8-3, 9-3, something like that. So I think under on the first one, over on the second one, but both Florida wins.
So here's the problem.
I could see.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say there's only. So here's the problem with not letting your marketing guy work the entire year and then losing him to another company is that no one maintains these rosters and the player list and everything. There's only Ian Bennett is the only player in the MASL transaction site listed as being loaned to another team right now. And there are Turlock, Mesquite, and Milwaukee Wave all without a season this year. So there's all those players available. And you can't tell me, I know for a fact that some are being talked about, but if we're going by the MASL pages, which notoriously have been bad as it is, there's only one goalkeeper on Florida right now, and that's Hugo. Nobody else is listed. Nobody's been signed. There's nothing in the transactions or anything.
I haven't heard of anyone else.
Right.
They're worried about, I mean, they signed Vandergrift, they signed Bennett. They have no backup to Hugo Silva. So what happens? Let's say, for example, what if Hugo Silva gets hurt?
Yeah.
I mean, they could easily probably go get Pollo Cortez from Mesquite. I mean, that's a sensible option.
Yeah, but if they don't do it before the weekend.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right.
But at the same time,
knows?
I've seen players get signed and then they like travel the next day. Brett Petrocek, for example, did that a couple of years ago in Florida, I think.
The Wave had a goalie signed Saturday morning for a Saturday afternoon game.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm available. I can hop on the next flight to
there you go,
Lakeland and be there.
I'll need a media pass to meet you there.
I think it's going to be interesting. I think we're going to be – I really think Duduka is a great player. Don't get me wrong. Duduka is a great player. It's just I don't think he works well with Max. And I think Max's best option is to find a way to mesh with JT because Duduka's personality is way too big. He wants to be what Max is, essentially. And when I say that, I don't mean career-wise, personal level. No, I mean he wants to be the guy on the ball. So if you have the Duca and Max on there, the communication is not going to work. So
yeah, there was no one like that on the team last season. So it was pretty much free reign for him. Now you've got someone that's established that has been in the league for a while, and he's trying to show him all these things, and he's like, I'm rookie of the year, and then I can watch what I can do, and he kicks it 70 miles in the air. I mean,
what we thought was going to happen in Florida last year, and then it never did.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, Emmanuel from Omaha Kings FC says hi.
Hey, Emmanuel.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
So let's not pull any punches here.
Oh, by the way, great win against Wichita Wings too. By the way, yes. Omaha Kings.
Oh yeah,
yes. That was the one I watched, I think.
First
that's the one. That's the one we watched.
Yeah.
First official M3 win. Yeah.
Yeah. So not pulling any punches here. You can have Landon Donovan, Max, the best players from the 80s, the best players from the 90s make the perfect pass. And if the guys can't shoot anywhere near the goal, it's not going to matter who passes it. It's not going to matter where the ball goes. And that was their main problem that I saw. There's obviously other problems that a more seasoned soccer mind would see. But from my standpoint, there's so many shots that were, I mean, pick on Duduka a little bit. The shot that he had the entire net open.
Yeah.
And he missed far post from like the box line. Like you can't do that.
Yeah.
And it happens every once in a while, but not like 3 games across 2 weekends. And
I bet you Everton's telling Duduka that right now. Like, listen, I mean, we've got Max here. He's going to show you the ropes. He's going to show you a lot more things. Trust him. Listen to him. I think it's a work in progress, and I think. Now, I said this last year. I think you're going to see what was supposed to happen in Florida last year with this St. Louis team.
I also think to maybe take it a different route, I think Max needs to change. I think Max needs to adapt and realize he's no longer in that the wave, because that's one of the other issues is Max is looking for those same runs, like the one game against Dallas, no, not Dallas, Kansas City. Max got the ball, he was taking them on. He was looking for that inside run where he would lay it off to Ian Bennett or whatever. The Duca instead went to the outside, and Max just hit it off the board and went like this. Like you have
There's a lot of that.
You have to adapt. It's. I know Max is a veteran in the game and he's really talented, but he has to realize who he has and really show that quality he has and be a leader. And okay, maybe he can't be that point where he takes the ball on and more. Maybe he's more of that sitting back distributing player now. Whatever it is, he has to figure it out. The team needs to figure out how to play with him, and he has to figure out how he could fit best for both his game and everyone's game around him. Especially if he's the guy.
I think he should do more. That's what I think. I think he's got a great foot on him. I think he doesn't use it that much.
Yeah.
It's been said that I mean, obviously he looks for the pass first. And he's even admitted that in interviews and things. And he's like, well, I know there's so many good shooters around me that are so much better than I am, which I think we can argue that. Watching him take the top of the arc shots when he takes them, when he doesn't pass them, and watching him before they realize that Ian could run 100 miles an hour down the side and for a shootout and just do that quick 2-on-1 pass or 2-on-none pass.
Right.
Max would put it over the goalie's shoulder every time.
Yeah.
Like almost never miss at that. But yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of things that they can do. I think so I remember Art Kramer talking years ago about and this is back when the Ambush were like winning one or two or three games this season, talking about how this is actually a much better team than their record shows because look at their schedule, and he kind of reads off, and every other game is against the Wave or Kansas City at the time when they were winning, or Baltimore. It's like they're playing all the heavyweights and they're not getting a break game, which it doesn't look like they're getting that either this year based on their first 7 games.
Yeah. Also, who I think will be a really good if Everton uses him correctly, even though he's going to be the leading foul of the season. Yeah, I think he is a bulldog, and if you put him in to disrupt the flow of the team. So, for example, Florida, if you stick him on, let's say on the defensive side on Ian Bennett or whoever, Drew, and just disrupt the flow of the game, I think he will be beneficial. I mean, he might not see the ball as much, but just disrupt, be really a bulldog, and just, anytime they're on the ball, jump on them. You don't have to foul every time, or maybe, I mean, it's part of the game. He's going to foul. It's smart. It's a smart foul. But
I would say, go ahead.
I think if they use him properly, he could be real good. And then the other thing, he's recovering from the defensive side, or not even the defensive side, just the pressure. He has a good shot.
Mm-hmm.
He has a good shot. Granted, sometimes it goes way too wide or way too high.
Put like one of those, those like old time diving helmets. Put one of those on his head and make him shoot 100 shots from the top of the arc.
Yeah,
they'll force him to get his head down. Keep his head down. Because as soon as those guys lean back,
it's over.
It's done, and the ball is like way up in the netting or in the back of the arena or wherever.
So, but I think they have the pieces. They just have to figure it out.
Yeah. I think I'm going to throw a crazy prediction out there. I think Richard Schmerman of St. Louis will have more than 10 goals this season.
I don't think that's crazy at all. I think
that's not crazy.
Okay.
Or something else.
Well, I think as a defenseman, I think 10 goals is a lot. But the way if he can get his shot more accurate, like I've seen it up close and personal, 10 goals is easy.
Yeah.
But see, the thing with him, he plays more like a defensive midfielder than he does a true defender.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't see it Especially when he was playing here in Baltimore, he was super aggressive on the attack also. So he didn't play as much.
So that kind of leads me. So if we're doing predictions, so let's go back. Let's go to Florida. Who do you think is going to score the most goals for him this season?
Man, that's a tough one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
That's tough.
well, I know where I'm going. It's
You're
the
going
same person I
Ricardo.
went. I'm going to go Ricardo Carvalho.
He's so
I
good,
think.
man. He's so good.
Yeah, he's really good, and I think a lot of people are going to focus more on Ian, and I kind of think they're going to kind of fall back and be like, not pay a lot of attention to him. So I'm going to take him.
You know who I like how he plays? I like how Acosta plays. I know a lot of people don't really. I mean, he was injured last season, part of the season, but I like how he plays. So I'm looking forward to seeing him play with Ian.
He got enough recognition. Rob Acosta, right?
Yeah.
He got enough recognition on a team that won 3 games to win Defender of the Year one year. So
Yes,
there's
yes,
that.
he did. Yes, he did.
I like how he plays. He's smooth, man. He's
Yeah. It's gonna be really interesting to see what happens. I mean, we'll get to more predictions as we go through. I want to kind of go through each team later too. Let's finish off the weekend for games so that. Oh, and by the way, there is a watch live link on all these games on the MASL site, and it is a redirect to facebook.com/MASL soccer, which is just the main MASL homepage.
So pay-per-view on Facebook.
So you would think that's what
Or
that means.
free.
Who knows?
Well, we would like to know.
It would be nice to know, especially for people buying, should I buy the extra steak for New Year's or should I buy the season pass for the MASL?
Well, that's an easy one.
But right. I mean, steaks are good and we can get both.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't like steaks, but it's okay.
You don't like steaks?
All right, Adam. We need to have a talk actually.
Yeah.
After the show.
Okay. Saturday night, 7 p.m. Central. So I'll just, for now on, and you guys can hold me to this. When we're talking about a game, I will list off the local time zone of the game that's published on the site. So
I like
if it's
that
Eastern,
idea.
I'll say Eastern. If it's Central, I'll say Central, and no more.
But that's not fair this season because it's all going to be in Central time.
Yeah, those are the only 2 games that are going to be in Florida.
No, there's some more.
So
Yeah,
all games now will be in Central Standard Time. Go ahead.
All right.
Adam thought he was sneaky. You saw that, right?
No, I didn't actually realize that until you said that because I'm looking. I'm like Eastern, but they're all Florida games.
Great.
So, but wait until the East starts, and that's all we have.
Okay, I got it.
Who's the Blast? Which Rochester team is the Blast going to play this week? So anyway, 7 p.m. we have Dallas hosting Kansas City. I think this one will be interesting. Personally,
I think it's going to be different from what we saw.
I think it's going to be different, but I'm still going to take Kansas City, but a much closer game.
Yeah,
by probably 2 goals is what I'm guessing.
I think so too.
7-5, 8-6, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, wouldn't surprise me if Dallas did win that game. I mean, I think in order for Dallas to win, you're going to need to see a little bit more from like Freddie Mugin. Because I mean, Lipe is just insane.
Yeah.
So I think the Dallas defense will focus more on Lipe.
You mean his team defense?
But you've got Freddie Mugin at your disposal, so that's a great 1-2 combo. But yeah, I think Kansas City would win around 2 goals. I would say as well. Adam James is going to have a breakout year, I think.
I think he already has.
I think more so. I think more so.
Yeah. I think
how many goals did he have last season? Does MASL even have that updated on its website, or are they still?
Let's see if I can figure this out.
If not, I mean, I could probably throw out a number and.
Come on.
I would say
What are we
25
trying to
goals.
Oh, you have to go back to last season. I think the interesting thing with this specific game is Dallas defense is shaky. It's a little shaky. I
It
mean,
is.
we saw it become better as the tournament went on because most of the defenders are young. There are younger defenders, so they don't have that experience. But KC's defense, it's not shaky. It's just slow to start and get in rhythm. So like all the goals against KC were in the early minutes of the games. Once they got their rhythm, they shut it down. So
Um,
it's interesting to see these two teams that are like super high attack offensive teams go at it. I think this is going to come down to what defense plays better.
Another interesting topic that was kind of brought up a couple weeks ago in a certain rant by a certain member of this group. Does John Sosa even get suspended for this game?
I don't even know how to answer that. I think the
answer is no.
I think the MASL's made their statement based on one of their interns writing something on Twitter, and then I don't know. I don't think anything's gonna happen. I don't think anything will be announced. If something does happen, I think it'll be just like, John Sosa's not playing tonight due to blah 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 blah. So let me see. So Adam James had 8 goals, 7 assists last season. 7 goals, 6 assists the season before. 7 goals, 3 assists the season before.
So yeah, I mean, I would think 20 plus goals is a breakout season for him. So that's what I see from him. Dallas, I mean, Dallas, it's going to be tough to do a prediction. I mean,
I think Nelson's going to have a great year. TJ Nelson. He was injured last season, and from what I saw him in the tournament, he looked good. Quintana,
I think Mike Jones will have a good year.
Mike Jones is going to have a good year. Quintana, he had a great season last year, but in the tournament, he didn't seem to be as much of a factor as he usually is. So it's going to be interesting to see how he plays.
Yeah, that's the big thing. I think big question for Dallas. Who else is going to step up this season besides Lipe and Freddie Mugin?
I like Segura.
You've got people you can list. You can list Quintana. You can list Mike Jones.
I like Segura too. He's I haven't seen much of him, but at the game against Wichita, he played well, man. He played so good, and then he's a young player. So I mean, obviously he's a young defender. He's still learning the ropes, but he's a good kid. I think he's gonna have a good year. I don't know if KC is gonna be the best game for him.
Right.
But,
so here's something interesting. And this is gonna get us off on a tangent. I went to the MASL discipline suspension site, which I haven't been to since last season. And Simon or Simone Bozis, Dallas coach, is not playing in the first game because he has a suspension. He was issued a red card.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because Bozis was supposed to be out for the game against Utica.
So it says roll over to game 1 of the 2021 season.
Yep, because the next game would have been Utica.
Also, below that, Derek Huffman, Milwaukee. On December 4th, 2020, MASL issued an undisclosed fine and a 2-game suspension for his engagement and public comments to fans on social media. The player engaged with fans on social media in a vulgar and demeaning manner, which has violated the MASL social media guidelines. So here's what happened. Since I am not a player and I'm not associated with the league, I can say this is absolute fucking bullshit. Take that as vulgar and demeaning as you want. What happened is he put out a video that it was 100% true about the All-Star game. And fans started in on him. And he defended himself. And if this is what you're going to you either take the sport into banning players from talking to people on social media, which you're going to just kill the sport because that's suicide for this sport. Yeah. That's what this sport is all about. This sport is all about fans interacting with players, fans being friends of players, fans hanging out with players, that sort of thing. But then you know, for a bunch of things that he said or he typed, nonsense, absolute crap.
I
I don't even agree with that if he wasn't a Wave player. Like, he posted a video which I agreed with almost everything he said.
mean, he had valid points. I mean, there were some personal opinions. I think some of the language he could have done without.
Who cares?
But at the same time, okay, so
No, wait, hold on. Hear me
MASL
out.
okay,
Hear me out.
all right.
Hear me out. The reason I say that is because players know the policies there. Players know that if they walk on that line, they might get fined. They might. What upsets me is, okay, you go after Derek Huffman for what he did, okay, but then don't wash your hands when one of your other players does something.
Yes.
That's
absolutely.
what makes me upset.
Did Huffman go on the field?
Whatever
and punch a
happened
guy
with
in the
Derek
face?
Huffman,
Yeah.
yes, I understand Derek Huffman. He said some things. He whatever. It's a conduct they have to follow. They have to be professional at all times. I get it. It's not as severe. It's kind of should have been a slap on the wrist, but whatever. The league took action. Great. But then to go turn around and wash your hands with Sosa, it's like, no,
Yeah.
that's what pisses me.
It's ridiculous, and that's the point I brought up in my little rant. But before my rant, getting into it with some of these fans that kept trying to say, well, what John Sosa did back in 1992, there wouldn't have been a foul, there wouldn't have been this, there wouldn't have been that. So what happens in 1992 if player A tells fan B to go fuck off? Like,
Yeah,
I think in
a
1992,
3-game suspension for telling someone like the F word.
two.
Oh, 2 games.
Right.
Is awful, and an elbow punch to the face is suspended for the next 3.
Oh, it was not.
games.
So here's the thing: they didn't give John Sosa anything because it was a non-sanctioned MASL event. Derek Huffman was not on any team on December 4th.
that's my point.
Fine was given out.
That's my
if I'm out at a bar, not clocked into work, and I tell someone to go fuck off, I'm not getting fined, suspended, nothing. But if I punch someone, that might affect me a little bit more.
Yeah, I get that. But see, the thing is with this, like, I'm not disagreeing with you guys at all. I'm just saying that I like the fact that they took action against not my man Derek, I love you and all that, but that they reacted. I like that. But then I hate that they turn around and not react to Sosa. That's
why. Take a look at who's the president of the board right now.
Well, yeah, I know. And then that's what I'm trying to say. It's you have to set aside whatever team you own, whatever role you have, and be fair all the way through. Whatever it is the case, you have to be fair. Don't give me this crap about a non-sanctioned sport or non-sanctioned tournament when you're advertising the sport or the tournament. Mm-hmm. You're putting your logo on everything, and then you're streaming the games. Don't give me that crap.
By suspending and fining Huffman and not doing anything to Sosa, you're validating exactly what Huffman said in his video, that it's a 2-team sponsored thing and they're going to invite all their friends to it. They're playing favorites to their own.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what the points when Huffman was saying that, like, hey, this is Leo and friends. Like, I saw what he meant. And yes, I understand it could be that. It could be that. And we don't know that for sure because we're not 100% there. But you could see it that way. But then when you turn around and do this, you're almost telling us, like, he was right.
Yep, exactly.
And that's what I hate to see. I hate to see that.
And there was, the people who got into it with Huffman were the same people who got into it with him on Twitter. It's like you always see in like NFL football games where there's a big group of guys and all of a sudden one guy takes a punch at someone and that's the guy who gets suspended or fined or ejected or
Yeah.
whatever. And the announcers are like, oh, they always see the retaliation. They don't see the original thing. What the league didn't see then, Huffman getting harassed over the course of 30 messages. He posts one thing, he gets suspended for essentially half a season or whatever it was, 10 games. Now, at the time, I wasn't a Huffman fan. I once I found out the details, I'm like, well, that's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, you can't hold that over his head for something that he said when he's getting harassed. There was another incident last season. Yes, last season that didn't make it public, and I don't even think I ever brought it up, and involving Huffman again. And according to fans in a certain area, he went after a little girl. Now, what they don't know is that little girl posted a picture or a detailed explanation of a picture of one of Huffman's teammates with a noose around his neck. That is absolutely not acceptable.
Yeah. No.
And if
Nope.
that would have made light, if that would have come up, I mean, that would have, all the details of that would have come out. So
I think the organization needs to protect their players, no matter who they are or where they are. That should be the number one thing. So if a player is acting unprofessional, whether it's cursing at someone, smacking each other, whatever is the case, that needs to be handled. But at the same time, stand by your players.
yeah,
Stand by your players. You have to stand by your players.
and these fans think that Huffman singled out a 10-year-old kid in a section of 1,000 people and told him to fuck himself. How do you single out one single kid from on the field in a section of that many people? It's just not possible.
No.
And you ask the people, oh, I heard about it. Yeah, oh, I was a witness. Oh, my friend's mother's friend's brother was there and he saw Huffman do it exactly. No, you people got to just, okay, I'm off my soapbox now. Let's move on to.
Let's move on. Bottom line is, league, you have to handle this fair across the board, no matter who it is.
It's consistency. Consistency is key. And if you say you have a disciplinary committee, use them.
Yes.
I don't care if it's a non-sanctioned event, a sanctioned event. It happened, and the person should be punished.
Yeah.
Accordingly.
I think if you're gonna go ahead and place the ownership on a board, you should have a third party that doesn't have a conflict of interest, maybe a fan to monitor the decisions being made, or maybe someone outside of the ownership group to help control that, because that's just, like you said, we can avoid situations like that. But that's my 2 cents. We'll get back into KC. Players I love, and I'm going to...
Hold on, one last thing. Normally, I am not a believer of if this happens, this also has to happen. Because especially if like, obviously the Huffman incident and the Sosa incident aren't related at all. They're two completely separate, completely unrelated things. But if we're talking about, because you see this a lot in the news, well, if this guy was this or that, or he was from this state or that, they wouldn't have put him in jail. But this guy sold a bag of weed to somebody and he's in jail for 10 years. You know, I don't agree with any of that. But I think in this case, you have to look at things and it can't be favoritism. It can't be the owner of one team not disciplining one person because he's on this team, but disciplining somebody else because he's on an opposing team.
Yeah,
absolutely not possible. No. And I would throw this out there that we can take up a collection to pay off Huff's fines this season.
Yeah, of course.
Because there's like. And I know, thanks, Brad. Brad says he agrees with everything we're saying. I know I'm ranting on this more because I'm more passionate about this. And
whoa. Don't tone down my passion.
I don't know. I'm not.
No, I'm just kidding.
You're joining my rant. This would have been perfect. You and I would have had a great rant going.
I realized like 10 minutes ago that was probably 8 minutes too far into this. But anyway, so let's get back to KC.
Right.
Let's ignore all that stuff. So KC and Dallas, how does it change without Boses as coach?
I don't think it does. I really don't.
Actually, you know what? It might, because the senior players or the veteran players might step in, try to control the lineups. it might, depending on who the captain is, who the assistant coach is, or if the assistant coach is called the shots, or if the lineup is set beforehand. Regardless, I think the score is going to be the same. I think KC's going to take it regardless. But I am looking forward to seeing Ramirez and Sousa, Lucas Sousa.
Mm-hmm.
Those two young players, they're good. I love watching them. They're good. So I'm excited to watch him. Obviously, Adams, he's whatever. He's going to have the breakout season according to Matt. So I think it's going to be good.
I mean, breakout season, and then there's Lipe, who, based on what we saw, is on
fire
track for another breakout season. And Lipe has I think Lipe has the ability to do something similar to what Ian Bennett has been able to do and just take over a whole game and score 6, 7, 8 goals. Well, not 8, but there was a game that Ian scored 7 goals against Chicago Mustangs. He's had a couple 6s. And I think Lipe with his hat trick has definitely has the ability to do that. Sorry, we're keeping you up. We got to get through some games here. So you picking Kansas City or Dallas, Gio?
Ah, man, it's tough. I want to go Dallas because I like the team, but KC's so good, man. So good. I'm going to go KC.
Oh, East guys picking KC. Imagine that.
All right.
So do we think, and this is kind of a general question outside of the realm of possibilities, quick yes or no, do we think any other player signings will be announced before Saturday's game?
Yes.
Well, no, they might happen. We just might not hear about them.
Well, you're right. So, yes or no question. Do we think we'll hear where we can watch these games before Saturday's game?
Yes.
No. No, wait. We'll find out Saturday. What time's the first game? 7:05?
5:05 Eastern.
Okay, so like 5 o'clock Eastern, we'll have some sort of information.
I think we'll know. I think we'll know by Friday where they'll be playing.
I was kind of thinking, where will we know where
they're playing in Florida.
I'm sorry, where we could see the stream. Sorry.
We can see it in Florida. Hold your camera, hold your phone up. I think I really thought there was going to be something today.
Who brought him?
I really thought there was going to be something today because it was the first real business day after the holidays. Kind of disappointed that there isn't. Kind of like we talked about before, disappointed that it's taken them this long to come up with something, even though I think everyone in the league has known it's going to be Facebook and we're all ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
It was announced on the what was it, December 5th was the All-Star game?
Yeah.
I mean, it was announced over 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was aired over 3 weeks ago. It was going to be on Facebook. It was announced even before then. Yeah, I just it's disappointing that there's no one, that there's nothing.
Yeah, and it's disappointing for all the fans. Like our job, what we do is we promote the sport. And if we had all of this information, we could promote it. We can put it on Twitter. We can put it on Facebook. We can do this. But we're just like, we can't help you. Sorry.
Yeah, not only can I not spend my own money to buy it, I can't.
Yeah, we're just sitting here kind of like,
where to spend their money to buy it.
Yeah.
So, it's confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jack says there's a Facebook Watch app on smart TVs now. And Brad says it was announced on the non-sanctioned broadcast, so it doesn't.
Oh yeah, the non-sanctioned, yeah.
So if a non-sanctioned broadcast happens and no one's there to watch it, does anyone know about it? Or wait.
I think the tree already fell.
The tree already fell. It landed on the guy who was going to post the information about the broadcast.
And then the tree got suspended for the next 3 Central Cup matches.
There we go. So now.
Oh boy. Yeah. So
go back to the predictions. Oh wait, you wanted to go over the teams first. Let's do the predictions real quick and then we'll do the teams.
What are we doing right now?
I don't know. We're sitting here babbling and it's
Casey, Matt, Casey or Dallas?
Oh, KC.
Casey.
Yeah.
Adam.
Yeah. Yeah.
Casey. All right. Casey all the way. All right. First match, Florida, St. Louis.
I really don't think you have to do these, but if you have Florida, I think might
I got
pull this
Florida
one.
on both.
Florida on both.
Florida on both. Casey on the other.
I'm gonna say
He's gonna go Dallas. I can tell. Look at his face.
He's gonna pick St. Louis one of these
He
games.
wants to be different than us. He's gonna pick Dallas.
no.
Just do it.
I pick KC. Casey's gonna win.
All
Okay.
right.
But I know it. You're picking St. Louis on one of these, aren't you? You're picking
I
us.
am. I'm gonna pick St. Louis for the first one, Florida for the second. Because Max is gonna put on a show because he's facing Ian.
See, and I was wondering about that too. I want to see Max kick it to Ian on the kickoff and Ian run off with it.
So we should
I
keep
said
track.
he was gonna do that.
Is there a way we can keep track of these? Is there? If I ask it 5 more times, is there going to be?
If you build it, I think we need to build the platform.
For
Adam Grosskreutz says split too.
See.
I don't think so. I mean,
What? Wait, I have an idea.
yes.
I didn't want to raise my. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, Matt.
Go ahead.
That's not my name.
Yes, Cranges.
So I think we should open it up to the MASL in the box community.
I was gonna say we will.
So maybe we could do like the
We're
3
gonna put
things
up
and then
polls.
put your teams and then kind of.
Why don't we
yeah.
do polls?
Let's do polls for every game this season. We'll just do who do you think will win?
So there'll be a
Okay.
poll on Twitter and a poll on Facebook.
Okay. We'll do that. What we're also gonna do.
Don't
is
hate it.
We're assuming we can watch the game, so that I would assume that that's not going to be a
God,
assumption
man,
based
you
on
are a
the
bold
fact that
predictor.
St. Louis wins both. Scotty
Who?
Scotty Fellows, or Scott Fellows is his more formal YouTube name.
Impression. Come
Formal.
on,
He is not
not on Facebook right now.
operating the scoreboard. He is
Right. It's Scotty if he runs the scoreboard, but if it's on YouTube, it's formal. It's Mr. Scott
right.
Fellows.
That's right.
I would love to see St. Louis. I've become a St. Louis fan. I'm a fan of Everton. Obviously a fan of Max. I was a fan of Mark Litton, who's no longer going to be there. And I'm assuming that's just because of travel and COVID and he has a young son, restriction, things like that. But I'm obviously a fan of Shelley. She's done great things for the team. She's done, she's been really, really great for, treating us. She made great moonshine that Matt drank. And I would really, really like to see St. Louis do well. I just think coming in against the top team who they didn't stumble, because even the games against the Wave, one was an overtime and the other one was a 1-goal game.
Yep.
So it's not
there were gaps. There were gaps in their. They didn't stumble, but they had games where they were really close.
They looked very, very.
They barely beat Baltimore.
Well, they looked mediocre early on against Orlando, but then took off with it and went crazy. And that's right.
They had really close games against Rochester. I think it was the one that was they won by 1 goal.
Yeah, but it's also.
Yeah, I think so.
They're to the point where they don't need to win anymore, and it's to the end of the season.
Yeah, I think half their team wasn't there anyways. But.
Yeah, right. And that's.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
It's not the Florida that they knew they were playing in Canada and couldn't find any players, so they just hired a bunch of guys off the street and got blown out 10-0. That's not that Florida team anymore. It's
a different beast.
And that's almost. I think I made a comment early on as based on the fact that Florida signed an entire new team, can you even compare them to the previous teams? Can you even give them a most improved team, because it's almost like they're brand new?
Yeah,
because there are so few players that held over from the early years until last year. So I think that's granted. There's also the sophomore slump, and if we're treating them as a new team last year, this is their sophomore season, and who knows what could happen. But I think, especially based on the way Ian was talking about the chemistry that is just right there, and how players are treated and things. There's a lot. If there's no locker room issues going on, there's no issues going on. And what we thought there was going to be a lot of ego, too many cooks kind of issues isn't a problem. So I think they're going to do it. So why don't we step from there into our season predictions?
Real quick.
We're only going to have one chance to do this before anyone plays.
Real quick, Emmanuel from the Omaha Kings made 2 quick announcements. They have a game this Saturday against Sunflowers FC, and also they have 2 announcements coming out this week. Apparently, they're huge. No idea who they are. He won't give me any information. Just feed me the info.
You will as soon as it gets signed. You'll see it.
No, that's not fair.
And it won't get updated to any sort of web page, MASL related, until like April.
Well, M3 doesn't have their webpage yet, so he does it
Okay,
all
well that's perfect.
through the team pages.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Adam. Season.
So season predictions. So we have 11 teams playing. We have 6 that are playing
Blast.
in January. What?
Blast.
No.
Oh, we were going to start with who had the worst. Who's going to have the worst record? But
Oh.
I mean,
Yeah.
you just said it. So
No.
Do we split it up into kind of the way I've been thinking about it is we have the 4 East teams and we have everyone else?
I don't think it's going to be like that, Adam. I think it's going to be one large lump sum.
I don't think so. I talked to a player out in Kansas City, and he pretty much told me like the schedule.
I think it's I'm not calling them divisions. I'm just talking that's who's going to play each other.
Oh, I see.
So we're
what
gonna
you
have
mean.
yeah we're gonna have one division, but like the 4 East teams are
Oh.
only going to play each other, and then the 7 are going to play each other.
Got it.
Although I do find it interesting that Tacoma has games listed, but Ontario doesn't. So Tacoma and San Diego both have games listed for January, but Ontario doesn't.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I thought that was different and interesting. I don't know if that means they're holding out to try to do some home games or.
No, they're probably playing 12 games, and they're going to start in February.
Yeah, right.
So I mean, do you get all your games, 12 games, January, February, then you just sit for the rest of the season, or do you do February, March, and kind of have?
I think.
Well, the Ambush in Florida have 7 games in January. They're almost done. They're 12.
I don't think they're going to do 12. I think they're going to do more. I don't think they're going to do because like Tacoma.
They can do more. They should do more. I think every team that has capabilities of playing home games should definitely play more than the teams that can.
Yep. Yeah. Agreed. And that's where that whole weird dynamic of win loss, win percentage and things like that. I mean, they're coming in knowing they're going to have to win 12 road, potentially win 12 road games to go to win.
Didn't Tacoma already announce that all their games are road games?
Yep. Yeah, they have.
I want to make a point about the unbalanced schedules. So last season, towards the end, the EPL, the Premier League, was going to do win percentages, and then they said, "Never mind, bad idea, terrible idea. Just play as many games as you can. We'll go off those standings, no matter if it's uneven numbers of games." Because there were a few teams that didn't play the full schedule.
Yeah,
and they just went with that for their standing. So why can't we just do that?
We take no direction from any other league at all.
Got it. Good to know.
Yep.
We're the first indoor sport that's starting to play. I would rather have had.
We're pioneers.
What?
We're pioneers.
Pioneers is not a good term when we're talking about it like a pandemic that's killing people.
That's
Pioneers really cool. If we're going to change our name to like Thunderdome and get rid of the soccer in the name, and we're calling the sport Thunderdome for Aaron De La Rosa, that's cool. That's a pioneer. But having a bunch of people in a room when we know it's probably
pioneers as far as how we handle it.
Oh, I thought you meant like pioneers, like the Oregon Trail, and everyone died of dysentery.
No. It was just Zeke. Zeke is the only one that died. If Zeke died, you were screwed.
Oh yeah.
Or if you tried to ford like a river that was 11 feet deep, and you just saw your wagon going, and then you saw it go down, and then you saw the oxen just like drown.
Everybody under the age of 40 is like, what?
Yeah, I think all of our viewers just laughed. They're like, "What's the Oregon Trail?"
That was a great game, by the way.
Yes, it was.
It was. So let's talk
season predictions we wanted to do
differently. So we're going to do
East versus the West. I mean the rest.
East versus the rest. I love that. So San Diego, Ontario, Dallas, Tacoma, Kansas City, St. Louis, Florida. Who has the best record or best win percentage or best something? Who finished at the top of those 7?
San Diego.
Oh. Even if they can't play home games.
Mm-hmm.
Who finished at the bottom of those 7?
God, now they want that one.
But we're all gonna get it.
You know what? I'm gonna say. Wait, no. Why do I gotta go first?
I have mine all lined up.
Go
If
go
you
for
want
it.
to, Gio, if you want to think about it, you can think about it.
Thank you. It's too much pressure for me.
Okay, I'm not going to pick Florida. I'm not. I just can't.
Okay.
I'm going to take Tacoma.
As first?
I think as first, yeah.
Wow.
Here's why. Here's why. You've got the best goalkeeper tandem in the league at your disposal. Danny Waltman, Chris Toth. We saw it in Kansas City. They haven't
that's true.
missed a step. Picking up Vinny Dantas along with Nick Pereira. We saw, I mean, a lot of those guys, Mike Ramos, Corey Keats, we saw them on display. And like I said, in Kansas City, I'm going to repeat myself, but I think Tacoma has, from front to back, I think they have the most solid lineup. As for last, unfortunately, I'm going to pick Dallas. Although I think they're going to have a good year. I see St. Louis improving a lot more. And a lot of those teams are super tough. I mean, those 3 out west teams, San Diego, Tacoma, and Ontario was the hottest team going into the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be hard for them. So hopefully Dallas throws in a couple games against Rochester. But yeah, that's how I see it. I think Florida's going to have a great year, but I think Tacoma's going to surprise a lot of people.
You know, it's really hard to pick those teams when you have people from each of those teams you like.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
It's
like someone's
really
got to
hard.
finish last.
Like having relationships with all these teams and like people, it's like, oh, I don't want to make them feel bad.
But it could also be used as a motivator.
That is true. But with that said, I actually am going to pick Ontario as last. Reason being.
Wow.
Well, okay.
Reason being, Carell's gone. He was a huge piece to them, unfortunately. May he rest in peace. And Frank Tayus still, I don't know how he is with his health. I know he was injured. But they're going to be one of the last teams to come into action from what we're seeing. From the rest. Some of these teams are already going to be established. Dallas is no longer only playing Sonora and Flash.
Right.
So you might completely see a different Dallas this year because they're not only playing those Mexican teams that were dominating that side. So we might see that morale change. And like I said, Ontario is going to come in when everyone has already played a few games and have a few games under their belt. So I'm actually going to put them as last. Unless Frank Tayou could put the team on his back again.
Again, like he's done every year he's been in the league. I mean, except for the wave championship year in Monterey. I think that was the only year that he stepped back a little bit, or was not carrying the team.
So I think that's what's going to happen.
So who's your first then?
So San Diego.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They just have too many weapons. They have way too many weapons.
Do they?
Sarga, Guerrera. They have. I mean, I don't know how well or how fit Gordy's going to be, but they have Gordy. They still have their captain. He doesn't look like he's slowing down. So.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go Florida.
I figured.
Of the rest of the 7 rest.
Wait, so Florida's going? Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And I think St. Louis for the bottom. I hate to say, and I'm going to hate to see it, but I think it'll be close to Dallas. But I think I think those two are going to be. And like you said, it's hard because your friends will always see. It's easier for me because I don't have a team to root for this season, so I'm going to be rooting for and against a lot of teams.
Everyone.
The reason I don't say San Diego is because they have so many Visa players, and I think a lot of those have still been unreconciled.
Well, I mean, two of them. Well, no, they were already. They were fine. So yeah, I could see that.
I thought they had 12 Visa players.
Well, no, I'm saying two of the visas were taken care of because they played the All-Star game.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, I would think they got taken care of.
Hopefully, if they got taken care of, I think they have a much better chance. But the reason I can't pick San Diego and Tacoma or Ontario to be that number one of the 7 is the fact that the home games are just not. The home field advantage is such an advantage. I mean, look at who beat Monterey the last 2 seasons. Or the only team to beat the undefeated team was Tacoma in Tacoma. It was San Diego and it was Monterey.
This is true.
I think that's just such a huge. Now, it doesn't mean I don't think they're going to be last. I think they're going to be in the top. I mean, I think your top 4 teams and the rest are going to be Florida up top.
I like this.
And then the 3 West teams.
I think my top 4 actually go San Diego, Florida, St. Louis, and Tacoma.
I'd go. I think I'd go Tacoma, Florida. Yeah, San Diego, Ontario. I think
that's kind of. I don't have any. I don't have any preference on the other 3 or who I think is going to do well. But I think Florida and then the 3 West teams will be in the top. There's so much talent and so much. Now I love Kansas City to break through that. I love St. Louis to not be last. I'd love to see Dallas do it, but there's so many good teams. There's no.
Oh, dude, I totally forgot about KC.
Right.
KC.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like the the All-Star teams or the MASL All Team honors. Well, this guy doesn't belong here. Players. Why isn't he here? Well, who would take out? Oh yeah, never mind.
I think I bump San Diego, Florida, St. Louis, KC.
Wow.
Okay.
And if we pick champions, surprisingly enough, I think KC's going to win. If Baltimore doesn't play. Because I'm so not sure about these East teams.
So let's talk about the East then. So we have Baltimore, Utica, Harrisburg, Rochester. Who's first? Who's fourth?
Assuming they play.
Assuming they play and assuming they only play each other. And that's the big assumption because Matt, like you said, maybe there's a chance Utica go down to Florida or Florida could come in somewhere if things open up. We just don't know. It's kind of too early to tell.
Yeah.
So let's just go on the assumption that the East 4 are playing only each other and they play 12 plus games.
I think Baltimore takes it, man. Come on.
It's to be determined. I'm sorry. I'm gonna cop out. I'm out on this one for now. Here's why.
Because we don't even know if they're playing.
We don't know the roster. I don't know.
So actually, you bring up a good point. Have you heard anything about Segura?
I was just thinking that.
Haven't heard a thing. Moises Gonzalez is in Brownsville, Texas. I do know that. So sounds like he'll be back. I have yet to hear anything about Segura. And that I think that kind of would make up my mind because I think if Segura comes back, I think Utica will take it. If not, I think we could see the emergence of Harrisburg.
So Adam Grosskreutz just wrote Utica, Harrisburg, Blast, Rochester. And Brad is a Blast fan. He wrote Baltimore, Utica, Harrisburg, Rochester.
He probably wrote Baltimore, and then wrote Blast.
So but seriously, so just the reason I mentioned Segura is because he just had surgery.
Oh,
Did he?
Yeah.
what kind?
But I think so.
I don't know. That's why.
Well, here's the thing. So he was on Utica City does a thing on Wednesday nights, City Hall, a couple weeks ago with Moises and Segura, and he mentioned he's doing well. So,
Okay. So then I guess it was just something small.
Hanging
yeah.
out
So
there.
it's a non-issue. I think, like I said, I think if Segura comes back, and I don't even know if Dieguez is going to come back. If Dieguez has the opportunity to come back, there are a few guys that Utica could have come back, but we really don't know. So Utica's kind of like up in the air right now.
Yeah.
Our roster, Baltimore's roster is pretty set. If Baltimore doesn't finish first, they finish second. The only reason
If they don't finish second, they finish third.
the only reason I think Baltimore might have an issue is because I don't know who our target forward is going to be.
Exactly. That's the big thing. I mean, there's a huge void. Vinny Dantas is gone. Hoxie is nowhere. Well, I know he's in Connecticut from what I've been hearing.
He was released, so he's
he's released. We don't have Hoxie.
Yeah.
I mean,
so who do you have? I mean, do you move? Is Kita a defender or is NDI the
so
defender?
Kita's a defender, but
Yeah, I mean, I think
NDI is not coming back.
Oh,
what?
He hasn't signed a new contract. He's still a free agent.
The heck? Baltimore, get on that. Jeez. That guy's a great player.
He is a great player, but he's still a free agent.
Yeah.
It was from what I heard, they were working on both of them, both Vanzella's and his contract, and only Vanzella signed. So
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. It's going to be tough for those four teams because we don't know when they're going to play, and we really don't know a lot about their rosters. Like Rochester did pick up Jake Schindler and Matt Perella.
Yeah.
I mean, Harrisburg brought back a lot of their players. I mean, they still have Dominic Francis, Elton De Oliveira, Willie Bees in goal, Danny DePrima. I mean, that's a solid team.
Here's a question.
I mean, so hold on real quick, Adam. Yeah. Going back to Baltimore, the only thing, if Lucas is okay, he could be the target forward, but I don't know how productive he'll be after his injuries and stuff. So
Lucas, okay, Roque.
Oh, and we also have Tello, so Armando Tello. So
Armando's a great player, but so let's look at these. So these four teams, let's say for whatever reason, and I imagine it's COVID related, one of them can't play. Does that kill it for the other three?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that. Like, it's bad enough if only four are going to play each other, because we kind of did that one season where it was only East playing the East and West playing the West. And we really only saw, for like 75% of our games, we only saw our own conference. But
yeah, I really, that's like a plea to the MASL. Like, make this as fair as possible. I understand, have Utica versus Tacoma in Kansas City or something like that. That would be cool. That would be cool to watch. Not Utica versus Rochester, and then the next day Rochester versus Utica, and then the next week they play again, and it just, no, mix it up.
Yeah, I mean, I think trips to Florida, you take advantage of the cities that can host games right now.
Yeah,
and do a bubble trip to Florida, St. Louis, Kansas City.
Just have like all the teams go down there for a weekend and then just play various games.
And that's kind of what I was thinking, is that after the Central Cup was announced, I was like, you know what, this year would be perfect to do a region cups. You have your Central Cup, you have your East Cup, you have your West. Florida can host something, some kind of invitational.
the Florida Cup.
Florida invitation.
Teams can go down there and in a bubble,
right?
Isolate themselves and only play, kind of what they did for the All-Star game, and only play over the course of like 2 weekends.
Or the MASL or the MLS did. They did a bubble in Florida.
They also have,
CONCACAF did a bubble, so
they have a ton of money though.
that's
They
true.
have a ton of money though. I mean, that's the
That's true.
other thing.
Yeah, but I think there needs to be some sort of kind of mixing up, make it creative,
I
as
also,
opposed to seeing those four Northeast teams playing each other, then everyone else playing each other, and then
yeah.
it's not fair.
I also
Unfortunately,
think that they should set a deadline. Like, hey, if we can't figure it out by X date, we're just going to move forward with these teams.
And I would love to say that that exists, but based on the fact that we're 4 days away from the first game, we don't even know where we can watch it.
Well, even if we don't know, at least that they know.
Yeah, I know.
And then they'll communicate it to us eventually. Because I would hate to have all the games played and we're in March, right? Every team has played their 12 games, 24 games, and they're looking at the playoffs in let's say June or whatever time frame they're turning around 2 months or whatnot. And then all the East teams end up playing only each other because all the other teams are fine, whether they want to play extra games or not. It's up to them. But it could be a reality that they say, no, we're good. We're going to rest and we're going to get ready for the playoffs, and we just have to play for all 12 games.
wouldn't it be interesting? And I'm just throwing this out there. It is probably the most ridiculous idea.
I like it already.
But you know how college football does like their ranking system? It's like strength of schedule and like all of these different things. What if the league did something like that this season?
The problem with
Because a 12, okay, so if a 12-0 Utica team played Rochester 12 times, are they better than a San Diego team that went 9-3 that lost to Kansas City and Florida and maybe St. Louis by one on the road or something like that? Something crazy.
The only problem with that in this sport is the egos of the owners and the fact that the board is made up of owners and team staff. And
he's got it.
there's no way an owner, and let's pick on Ed Hale here, there's no way an Ed Hale is going to allow a completely third-party system to determine the strength of his schedule. Or you know what I mean? Because you know the
Any owner.
Any owner, and I think the sport is. I think the sport isn't big enough for something like that. It would be interesting.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I'm like it's
The other
interesting.
thing, the other thing, if we can't get communication before the games happen, who's going to take the time to even do that?
Yeah.
We can't even get proper communication right as of now.
We can't even get the announcers to get a game sheet with the correct players and names and numbers on them. And
Yeah.
This is a problem that's been going on for years. Like, I mean, how many games do we hear? Well, we don't know who 28 is because he's not on our list here.
If I had every time I heard that during the Central Cup,
yeah,
I would still be passed out on my floor.
It's crazy.
When the Wave went somewhere, I think they went to Kansas City, and one of the players wore a different number that was actually a retired Wave player's number in a real game. And nobody had a clue who he was until we could get a close-up of him. Because that was back when the KC camera was like satellite view away. And we're like, well, who is 11 or whatever? I think it was 11. Like, I don't know. And people were like, well, 11's retired. That's blah, blah, blah. Whoever from 1990 something. It's like, well, I don't think he should be out there then because he's probably too old to play.
Gio, are you okay over there? You and your cat having a...
How you know about? Did you hear him?
Yeah.
He came in, he barged in here, threw the door open, started crying.
He just wanted to make sure you're okay.
Yeah, he just wanted me to touch him.
Still not the most amusing drive-by in one of these shows we've had.
So that kind of for those of you that missed it, watch Saturday's episode towards the end.
And
yeah, it was hilarious.
It was at the 1 hour 20 mark on the December 26th show. Gio's going to put that into a corn dog moment, which I think we decided this week we're not going to do, or Gio's not going to do because he does all the work on all this stuff. He's not going to do like a he's not going to take this episode that's an hour and a half or 2 hours or 5 hours or whatever it is and break it down in like a 40-minute chunk. Instead, we're going to leave the episodes as they are because they're on YouTube and they're easy to find, unlike Facebook where they're impossible to find.
Yes.
And then we're just going to do like funny highlights, corn dog moments, or maybe major news. We'll take out a couple minute segment or something like that. We'll just do highlights for that stuff.
And like, so the corn dog moments will be posted on YouTube. Typically, like the small segments, I post them on our Instagram. So today I posted one about us talking about the rules and changes that we would love to see.
I have thought about this a lot, probably way more than I should have. And I am now convinced the absolute rule is 2 points for a single goal, 3 points for a goal beyond the yellow line.
This is when I hang up.
And then an intentional clearance behind the yellow line is a 1 point shootout attempt. No power play. I love that idea now.
I'm so proud of you. I really am. I'm proud of you.
See.
No, see, this is exactly. I gotta tell you. So I'm gonna sit on my soapbox for a second.
Oh God.
I think MPS is great. I don't care what anyone else says. I think MPS is great.
I went to MPS, Milwaukee Public Schools.
Right, they're awesome. Great school system.
Marion Public. Never mind.
Yeah, them too.
Yeah.
But I'm talking multi-point scoring, which is what Adam's talking about.
Yeah, I know.
Being able to like watch someone, I think someone should get rewarded for making a really, really long shot.
Yeah,
and it's great to.
Yeah, they get a goal for it. Oh, so the only reason I came up with the MPS idea is because as I was brainstorming, and I did this all on the fly when we had this show a couple weeks ago.
He just wants to start anarchy with these decisions.
No, because we were talking about the clearance, the
intentional clearance.
And I was like, penalty shot is no, you can't just give him a goal for it. Power play, no, and because we were talking about blue cards, and I think it was Brad Crosley who said to give it a 2-minute blue card. I'm like, I think that's a little too, just a tad too harsh. I'm like, what would be right? And I'm like, a shootout attempt, but no power play, just a 5-on-5 or 6-on-6 with the goals. Normal shootout attempt, 5 seconds, ball's back in play, everything's good. Like, you can't give that 2 points though. Oh, 1 point. And then my brain went, but then you go MPS, but you don't do the arc. I never liked the arc because it took too much away from like too many replays and things like that. I think the yellow line is a much easier target because it's straight across the field. There's no weird angles on cameras and things like that. And so you don't need to alter the fields at all. You just have the yellow line. That's the thing. That's my new rules. And we're starting with them.
So I have a question then. So a regular field, a regular field, so behind the yellow line, right?
Yes.
So what about Baltimore? Would it be the middle line or would it be the line behind it? Like over
it's still
here?
30 yards from a goal either way. It doesn't change.
There's no yards in indoor.
I mean,
so would it be at the goalie box?
My understanding is if it's behind the parking lot. My understanding in Baltimore is that the yellow lines are 50 feet from the, because in a normal field it's 50-foot sections. Is that right? 4 50-foot sections.
Yes,
that's right. And my understanding is in Baltimore it's still.
That's 50. What I'm saying, Scotty.
Yeah, so Scotty.
Yeah, the yellow lines are the same regardless of where they are. It's just the middle section that's
right. That's almost not there.
Oh, okay. Right.
So yeah, so it's still 50 feet. Now I don't know about Sonora. I don't know if that's the same there.
I think so.
Like it's the same because it seems like there's much more middle section in Sonora than there is in Baltimore, but I think the fields are the same size.
You know what? I have to watch a game to let you know.
Yeah, but that's I mean, obviously there's logistics issues there, but I think it's a better idea to do a yellow line than a arc that maybe nobody has anymore, or some people still have, and then is the arc the right thing? And now we have like double arcs on some fields or some crazy shit like that.
Dave and Buster's.
Yeah, you're right. I still remember the game there where they had to put the dry stuff down because the ice was seeping through the turf. There was a big wet spot in the middle of the field, so they had to put like the dry sawdust or whatever it was down.
Yep.
All right. So I think so we've all bowed out of doing East prediction. I'll say right now, Utica, Baltimore, Harrisburg, Rochester.
I mean, if you were to say right now, your rosters have not, well, the signings that have gone through have taken place. Everyone else is going to be on your team. Utica, Harrisburg, Baltimore, Rochester.
Ouch.
Oh,
Ouch.
ouch.
Yeah.
Well-
I still think Baltimore. Where I'm getting like is Utica and Harrisburg. Because Utica, the biggest problem with Utica is if Segura comes back or not.
That's why I said if all of the rosters
Yeah.
stay the same, everyone comes back.
Well, I mean,
Utica, Harrisburg, Baltimore.
everyone has more than likely will have their same roster except Segura.
Then if
Because
that's the case,
because he's in Mexico.
I may have to go. If that's the case, I may have to go Harrisburg, Utica,
Look, he can't even
Baltimore.
say it.
I'm switching Harrisburg and Utica. I'm not. I think Baltimore's going to be third.
So here's what I think is going to happen. If the four teams only play each other, I think Utica, Baltimore, Harrisburg are very, very, very evenly matched, with the occasional landmine in Rochester. So you're going to have
Can you imagine if Rochester just ends up first place? I will shave my head.
I think there's.
If Rochester becomes first place, I will eat my hair.
Yeah,
I
right.
will shave my head.
I will shave my head. I will get a Rochester Lancers tattoo right there if they finish third or fourth place.
I would not go that far.
Put that in the corn dog moments.
Yes, sir.
But I think the three teams are very evenly matched, and I think Rochester.
Yeah.
I don't think Rochester is going to be 1-19 or whatever they were last season.
I don't think so either.
Now, especially if you reduce the number of games, let's say all four teams only play each other and they only play 12 games, then every game in Rochester is literally this landmine that's waiting to take out a team. Because I think your top three are going to be really, really, really close. And I think Rochester has a chance to really play spoiler.
They almost did beat Baltimore. They almost beat Baltimore in overtime.
I think Rochester's.
They should have won that game.
I think they're one full season away from being a contender in that space.
Not in that division, unfortunately. I would say
there's too much talent in that division.
2 to 3. I would still say 2 to 3 years.
Because
I don't think unfortunately, I don't think it's a 3-year plan.
Yeah.
Soccer Sam's going to have to bring more talent in, more veterans. I mean, it's a good start that he got Jake Schindler. Matt Perrella is a great goalkeeper.
Yep. Great signing.
But Doug Miller's not going to play until he's 76. So, I mean, you need to have someone else step up.
Yeah.
But they do have the chance to take wins out of teams that normally would assume those.
Oh, yeah, of course.
They're
landmines.
They do. And that's why I think this.
KC,
I think the schedule, I think the schedule should kind of like be mixed up. Maybe have Dallas versus Rochester or Kansas City returning to the Rock Dome, where Rochester got their first and only win last season.
If they can play, I mean, that's another.
Yeah,
we only know what we know, and I think that's where the league is going, but they're not taking it far enough. They're saying, okay, we're only going to come up with a schedule a month at a time, and we're going to do it. And I think I was thinking about the deadline thing as we've been chatting here. I think the deadline is a tough thing to do because you say, okay, February 20th, we're making our deadline for March games. It's already I mean, you can't even really do that.
Well, no. I mean, like for them to even come into the league for that year, because it's like, because their teams are going to be done, and then they're going to play all their games after all the teams play, and then they go right into playoffs. It's going to be not. I feel like it's not going to be fair.
It's.
I don't think. I think logistically doing that is kind of ridiculous because there's going to take. I mean, travel plans, like travel costs. Travel costs are super expensive the closer you get to that date. So if March 1st is a week away, ticket prices are going to be more expensive than like 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
So I think the sooner the better, but there's so much uncertainty where it's like,
Well, remember when
we don't
Baltimore?
know.
Remember when Gianni had his show and they announced the first 5 dates for home games?
Those all have been canceled and
Those all have been
changed.
canceled, and I think it was hard enough back then to try to sell tickets for that, and that's exactly why they announced those dates, because they're like, hey everyone, here's where we're going to have our ticket sales. But how do you put a deadline of, like, even now it's essentially January 1st. If teams are going to start middle of February, that's only 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't even know if it's going to be open up. So when do you find out it's going to be opened up versus when you can sell tickets versus when you say, okay, if you can't hit anything by this date, what I'm saying is, like, let's say February 15th is our deadline for a March 1st start. Well, that's only giving 2 weeks that's potentially only giving 2 weeks for ticket sales. And that's also giving a February 28th announcement saying, okay, New York is finally opened up now.
That's true.
And we're like, well, shit, we just said we can't play.
Yeah, that's true.
It's such a weird.
Yeah, it's so
leave it
unpredictable.
At uncertainty. We'll keep you posted.
Right. But unfortunately, we won't keep you posted because we don't talk to the fans.
We won't have the information.
Yeah, because we don't.
Our biggest news releases this year were about the ball and about 2 other teams, 2 other leagues, one of which isn't even playing until August.
Yeah, I think our biggest one was the announcement of them doing nothing.
Right. Well, no, the new ball announcement was bigger, which, granted, that's a cool thing, but that shouldn't be your highlight of announcement for the year.
Right.
Not to say that article should have been any different than it was. I'm fine with the article being the way it was, but that means there's so few other pieces of news. And I don't agree with I call out Mike Zimmerman because he said, well, there's nothing to tell people. Why should we post a release saying nothing? Because your fans don't know what the hell's going on. And now it's been 2 months and 4 months and 6 months and 7 months. And now the only announcement we get in 9 months is that our team isn't playing.
Yeah. Some update. No news is much better than just not saying anything at all. Tell us that there's nothing going on, as opposed to don't say anything.
Yeah, use the standard. So the reason I hate the word unprecedented is because we see it everywhere. At my work's instant messaging program, somebody put an automated message out to blah 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 blah. Here's what you need to do if you're having problems. And they started out, since we're experiencing unprecedented, and I've read that message every day since March 15th. So, yes, Gio, let's call it for a night. We were going to try to shoot for an hour show, and of course we missed that miserably. And Gio, you're on mute in case you're trying to talk.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
I didn't even know. It's because my cat came in here and started crying that he wants something. I know
he
what
wants to be on. He wants his predictions to be shown on.
He wants to come up on a table.
Yeah. So the only other announcement we can give is that we will start moving these shows to Monday nights because there's probably going to be games Friday nights starting. In fact, I think next Friday the 8th. Where's my little schedule here? Yeah, next Friday the 8th is a game. I don't want to have anyone have to choose and not watch their favorite team because we're on. I just don't think that's fair to the teams. So that's why we're doing it, because
we're so awesome.
We don't think you're going to choose the teams over us. We just don't want you choosing us over the teams.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So it's 8:30. We will try to keep things short. We will recap the weekend games. We will try to figure out how we get in guests in with this whole new format and everything.
Yeah. Another thing, guys, I wanted to let you guys know there's a new podcast out, Striking Fury. It's on Apple Podcasts. I think it's on Spotify, whatever.
Yeah.
Great podcast. I've already listened to 4 episodes, I think. Philly and Panda, they like to be called, husband and wife. Just talking about Fury, Ontario Fury, and MASL. Also, they kind of mix that in. Give it a listen. Definitely good material. Passion. They're very passionate.
For this week, I haven't had a chance to listen yet, so that's on my list for this week.
And what's it called? Keeper's Corner is coming out with a episode, right? This week.
I think they already did.
They did?
I think they did. I wasn't a part of it, so I don't know. I think they did I think it was last week,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
where they talked about the 2 new signings.
Right. So yeah, guys, any MASL content, we'll try to share and keep you guys aware of everything.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right. Enjoy the
Thank you
games.
for joining us. Good night, everyone.
Everyone have
See
a
ya.
good New Year. We'll see you.
Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year.